Hello and welcome to the latest instalment of Baxi Cam. Now first of all, you're going to have to forgive me because I've only just got round to doing this video for you. Now in this episode, I'd like to show you how we go about taking the hydraulic inlet assembly out of a Duo-tec or a Platinum. I'll show you the difference between the non-ERP and the ERP range, and once I've got the hydraulic inlet assembly out, I'll show you the difference between the float switch type and also the turbine type, because there is a slight difference. I've already got my gloves on. Let's get the camera on my head and let's get to it. So one of the first things that you're going to need to do is turn off the cold mains going to the boiler. Now at this point, it's definitely worth checking to make sure that the hot and cold pipework hasn't been crossed over. And the easiest way of doing that is like this. So with the cold mains isolated, you shouldn't be able to top up the pressure on the boiler if you've got an integral filling loop. So now if I open this side of the filling loop and this side, you'll hear no water going in at all. So that means that isolating that has actually isolated the cold mains going to the boiler. If the hot and the cold pipe work is crossed over, your cold mains is all of a sudden this one. So if you just turn off the cold mains there and whip out the hydraulic inlet assembly, you'll be in for a nasty surprise because you're going to be getting cold mains water everywhere. So that's the easiest way of checking to make sure that the hot and cold pipe work hasn't been crossed over. So with the cold mains isolated, we know that it isolates, and what we want to do then is open up a hot tap and just wait for that to stop trickling out. There we go, that's stopping now. And then if we go to this boiler, which is the same as that one, you'll see there's our Hall effect sensor just there at the back, clear plastic one with the red, white and blue wires. So all we need to do is just unhook the Hall effect sensor and we can just leave him dangling down there. Now the hydraulic inlet assembly is that brass one. So if you were to use, I don't know, your favourite set of grips or something like that, you'll find that, you know, the gas pipe is restricting it a little bit, and maybe the pump housing as well. Now if you did manage to get onto that nut, the chances are, if you're using your favourite set of grips, you might end up rounding off the nut, and you've got a lot more chance of snapping that. If you snap that, you'd have to change the whole hydraulic inlet assembly. So what we were issued is one of these. So that is an 18mm 6-sided socket, and to assist removal we're also given an extendable ratchet as well. So let's pop him on the end there, and then if we get onto our hydraulic inlet assembly, there we go. So we just start winding him out. Now if you get to about this stage here and you get a lot of water pouring out at you, you've either got some excess pipe work where the water's trapped, or like I mentioned before, your hot and cold pipe work's crossed over. So definitely make sure that your hot and cold hasn't been crossed over. So once we've kind of given him a few turns, we should get to a point where we might be able to get him out with our fingers. So let's give him a couple more turns there. Get that back on. So once you start seeing the black O-ring, that's when we should be able to get him out with our fingers with a bit of luck. Alright, let's pop it off. There we go. Let's see now, can I get him? I'm losing the strength in my fingers. No, I've got him. Right, so we pop him out there. Let's get him on the table now. So now, if we take a look at this, so that's where the Hall effect sensor sits on there, and you can see in the middle we have a spring, okay, and all that is inside there, it's a bit like a shuttle with a magnet on the end. So when you or your customer runs the hot water, the magnet goes boop, and then you've got your Hall effect sensor sitting here, so the boiler will fire up for hot water, and then you turn the tap off and it drops back down. So that is the float switch, or the bobbin type. There's a little filter on the end. So all you need to do is just replace that. So if your customer phones you and says they've got no hot water, like I say, make sure that your hot and cold aren't crossed over. And then if your Hall effect lights up by putting a magnet inside it, the chances are the magnet inside here is stuck at the bottom. Now you could also have it the other way around as well, but your customer will say that they've got no heating. And in that scenario, what you'd find is when you undo all the boiler, and you can see the Hall effect in the back there, what you probably find is the red light on the Hall effect sensor is actually on continuously, because what's happened is the magnet is stuck up inside. And as far as the boiler is concerned, someone's running hot water, even though they're not. Okay, so it will never flick over for central heating, because obviously the combis are priority to hot water. So that is a little bit about the float switch or bobbin type and how we go about removing it. And that is on the non-ERP range. What I'll do now, I'll set up another boiler, which is the same Duo-tec or Platinum, but this time it will be an ERP one, because on the ERP ones we have to take out the pump to enable us to get on to the hydraulic inlet assembly. So let me set up another boiler and I'll show you how we do it on that one.